How's it going, everyone? I am back with another video. This is going to be my Week 8 recap video where I'm going to go through all the NFL games that took place this past week and break down my takeaways, thoughts, interpretations, all that good stuff. So, diving straight in here. The first game was the Thursday night game with Vikings Chargers. And oh boy, this was a complete disaster for the Vikings. This game was even more lopsided than the score suggests. I mean, the score suggested was a complete blowout for the Chargers, and it was even worse than that. You could just tell from the first couple of possessions of this game the Chargers were going to win. It was relatively close in the first half for the majority of it, but the Vikings were just a disaster. The Chargers defense looked great. Wentz in the offense struggled. Now Wentz is out for the year. He was playing the past couple of games through like shoulder issues, like a torn. What was it? I think it was a. I forget the exact injury, but his shoulder was all messed up, and he needed season-ending surgery. So then people were saying, that they must have known he was hurt, obviously, but are they throwing him out there with a risk to further worsen his injury just because JJ McCarthy's been that bad? Those are the talks now. Carson Wentz said that wasn't the case, that they didn't think that they wanted to put him out there if they thought his health was in further jeopardy. But in this game specifically, Wentz was he's rolling his arm out. You could tell his arm was bothering him. Got sacked a bunch. Like I said, the Chargers defense looked great. The Vikings defense for most of the season has been a shell of itself compared to last season. Chargers offense got going. The run game got going. Vidal had a great game. They got Joe Alt back, so that really helped them out. You can see Herbert looked great. This looked like the Chargers team the first couple weeks. They've been struggling the past couple weeks. A large part of that is probably due to the injuries they've had, but looks like they're getting back on track. They're getting a bit healthier. Looks like Hampton might come back, so that'll boost the run game a bit too. Looks like they'll get, yeah, Hampton I think is coming back shortly here. So that it's a boost to the Chargers. The Vikings, boy, it's hard to believe. 14-win team last season, they're just a mess right now. I know they're only a game under 500, but they play the Lions this week with McCarthy, who has been really struggling this season. I know he's only played like 2 games, but he's not looked good at all this season outside of that one quarter against the Bears week 1 in the fourth quarter and that come from behind win. They're dealing with injuries. Their line's a mess. Now they get the situation with Wentz. Well, if he's that injured, why are they throwing him out there? McCarthy's on an ankle. He's jumping up, avoiding guys, tacklers on the sidelines when they're sliding in from the play, but he can't play. But they're throwing Wentz out there with a bum shoulder. Like, what are they doing? They're just a mess right now, the Vikings. So this was just a sloppy, horrible game for them. At least they got Aaron Jones back. I guess that's a positive for them. Certainly not my fantasy team with Jordan Mason, though. But awful game for the Vikings. Disaster. Great win for the Chargers. Hopefully for them, they can pick it up for the rest of the season. Continue at this level of play. Not that they're going to blow everyone out this much, but hopefully you know what I mean. Browns and my beloved Patriots. Great game for us. I just made a video on this game specifically that'll be uploaded by the time I get this one uploaded. So check that out. Check that out if you're interested. Game talk here. But yeah, my main takeaways. Good game. It was a bit concerning in the first half, specifically the start of the game, where we went down the field. We got the ball, went down the field. We got stalled in the red zone. We got held in the red zone, rather. Stalled out. Had to kick a field goal. And then the Browns went right down the field and scored a touchdown. I'm like, here we go again. So slow start. We managed 3 field goals in the first half. Our offense is moving the ball in parts, made a bad pick. But our offense is moving the ball, just stalling out, having to settle for field goals. So we're up 9-7 at the half. And then we scored 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. It was over from there. As soon as we got up even 9 points, I felt really good. And then as soon as we got another touchdown, I was like, yep, I will be beyond shocked if we lose this game. The only other touchdown the Browns got was off of a punt. Behringer, he messed it up and it only went 15 yards. Special teams were horrible for us in this game. That needs to get cleaned up. We allowed an onside kick too. So I'm sure Jeremy Sprinter, our special teams coordinator, will get that cleaned up. Not too concerned there. Browns are just a mess. Their defense is legit, but Gabriel doesn't look like he's the answer. Why not throw Shedeur in at this point? What do you have to lose? Um, yeah, Browns, their offense. I mean, you see Flacco looks abysmal. Then he goes to the Bengals, and obviously at Elton you have Jamar and T. Higgins throwing or catching balls from you there, pause. But just shows that the Browns offense is not there at all. It's not necessarily the player, although I don't think Gabriel's too good anyway. Very limited time, but from what I've seen at least, and what most people can kind of take away from his performance so far. Like I said, my team, the Patriots, great adjustments. We start off slow, so that needs to be avoided. But great adjustments. Defense played well. Offense played well against, I think, statistically the top defense in the entire league. And the Browns, Henderson got going at an unfortunate fumble. But a lot of positives to take away from this one. 6-2, 5-game winning streak. We're one of the talking points of the league right now in a good way. So great win for my team. Happy to see us get a nice, comfortable win. Browns, disaster. But for my team, good win in this one. Oh boy, Bills Panthers. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, I think pretty much everyone expected the Bills to win, and I thought I may have been a bit bold predicting the blowout. I know the line was it was double digits, so not necessarily suggesting a blowout, but it was saying the Bills should win comfortably. Well, I didn't expect it to be this bad. Dalton was a complete disaster for the Panthers. Had a sequence at the end of the first half where he couldn't take a sack. He took a sack, and they did the hurricane drill, as they call it, to get the field goal unit on there, and they couldn't get it off. They missed it like a second. I think they missed the kick anyway, so it wouldn't have counted. Yeah, the start of this game, it was sort of close, and the Bills' offense kind of was looking like it was the past couple weeks, where it just something wasn't right, you could tell, and they were winning, but they weren't looking too good. And then the second half, really the second quarter on, they just poured it on. James Cook went absolutely off in this game. He could not be stopped. Their offense in general could not be stopped in this game. Dalton, as I mentioned, looked horrible. The Bills' defense played great. Good win for them overall. Great bounce back win after the two kind of not so great performances against my team and then the Falcons the following week. It's even though they put up 40 and they won 40-9, still something with this Bills team, at least to me, and maybe I don't know, maybe it's a Patriot. As a Patriots fan, I'm biased, but something to this Bills team just does not look 100% right to me. Something looks a bit off. And the Panthers, even though they were 4-3, they were playing solid ball. I don't know. I still don't think the Panthers are a great team. I think they'll probably float around 500 most of the season. This was just a disaster for them. The run game didn't really get too much going. Plus, they were down multiple scores. They had to keep passing, and Dalton was just bad, as I mentioned. But yeah, Panthers, this was a rough one for them. Oh boy, killer for them. Yeah, Bills got back on track, but to me, something's just a bit off with the Bills here. It'll be interesting to see at the deadline if they make a trade for a receiver. But Bills, they got the job done, hammered the Panthers here, so solid win for them. Panthers, this was just a disaster. Jets, Bengals. Well, speaking of disaster, this was a disastrous loss for the Bengals. They're in complete control of this game. They're up 2 scores most of the game. They're up 14 entering the fourth quarter. Their offense cannot be stopped. How the hell did they lose this game? I mean, we've seen the Jets offense. It's been a disaster most of the season. Outside of week 1 against the Steelers, so their defense has been a mess most of the season too. They have not done anything. Fields was probably not even going to play in this game unless Tyrod Taylor, didn't have a knee injury. It looked like Taylor was going to get the start, but Fields got the start. He played really good in this game. After he was talking about how he was emotional, how Woody Johnson basically threw him under the bus. He was emotional, and credit to him, he bounced back. and he played great, led a game-winning drive, had a ridiculous two-point conversion play in the fourth quarter. The Bengals defense has been horrible most of the season. Absolutely ridiculous to allow 39 points to a horrid Jets offense that has really been struggling. They don't even have the top receiver either. I know Hendrickson got banged up in this game. He didn't play a good portion of it, but really allowing 39 points to this Jets team. I mean, Al Golden's probably going to get fired by the end of the year, but I don't even know if it's his fault. I just don't think they have the talent there for the Bengals. Their defense, and if they had won this game, they would be 4-4, and the Steelers lost, so they would be 4-3. They're right there in the division, even though they were on a 4-game losing streak, and it looked like a disaster for them. So this is just a killer loss to the Bengals. Offense certainly wasn't the problem. I thought they were going to win the game at the end when Flacco just needed a field goal to win it. He had a nice pass he had to Yoshi Vosh, but he got hit on the throw and or the catch, and the Jets almost picked it off actually. But Bengals ended up a couple weeks later they failed to get a fourth down conversion, and they lost. I thought they were going to get done, like I said. Credit to the Jets defense, even though they obviously played bad in this game, allowing 38 points. They stepped up at the end when it mattered most. I just kind of felt like the Jets had a real shot in this game. Even when they were down 2 scores, they would cut it to 1, Bengals would score. They'd cut it to 1 score again, Bengals would score. And then when they got that stop down 6, I'm like, they're going to take the lead. It's going to come down to Joe Flacco. And that's what happened, and Joe Flacco and company couldn't get it done. Oh, boy. So, yeah, just a tough loss to the Bengals. They even have been getting the run game going, too. They had a sick play where they ran a flea flicker, and Chase Brown went to throw it back to Flacco, and he saw that there was a defender about to just absolutely annihilate Flacco, so he just ran upfield himself and got, I think, a first down. It was like 11 yards or something like that. So that was insane. I've never seen that before. It's like something out of the Lions playbook old playbook with Ben Johnson, even though now he's in Chicago, obviously. Actually, that's the play they still run now anyway. But yeah, as far as wins and losses, brutal loss to the Bengals, unacceptable loss. This was a game they very much needed. They couldn't get it. Jets, good for them to get the first win. Aaron Glenn under some fires. Fields, obviously, too. So good for them to get their first win. No winless teams this season. Oh, speaking of disasters and unacceptable losses, Dolphins, Falcons. I mean, really, Falcons? This was one of the most embarrassing performances I think I've seen in my entire life. Like, this Falcons team, I really just do not understand it. This team is like drunk this season. I mean, they make Josh Allen in the Bills offense look bad. They beat them. And then the Dolphins, who are a complete train wreck and a dumpster fire this season, they make them look like the 2007 Patriots. And then to add on to the fact, Tua had a black eye basically going into this game. I forget exactly how he got it, but I think it was like an infection and swelling by his eye. So he had to wear like a visor or something like that. Like the first time in his career he's on that. He only had like a handful of incompletions this game. Like, really? And then, again, give credit to the Dolphins for, putting together a good game plan and obviously executing and playing well. But another thing, this Dolphins team has a historically bad run defense, and you got Bijan Robinson and nothing. They got nothing out of the run game. Just miscommunications. Just there's guys, Kirk Cousins, when they're still in the game early. I think it was their first drive in the second half. Calls a hot route. He's on a miscommunication with the receiver. He threw it past, and the receiver turned around and like a comeback type of route. Miscommunication there. Which, by the way, Kirk Cousins obviously didn't play good, but I don't think this game was mostly on him. It was just the team not being prepared to play. And Raheem Morris, I think he'll be fired at the end of this season, or at least his seat should be extremely hot. They're just, I mean, like this game, no excuse. They just were not ready to play. The Dolphins just killed them this whole game. They could not be stopped. They could not be stopped offensively. The defense looked great. I mean, the one decent drive the Falcons put, when the game was relatively within, it was only 14 points. It was right there. Bijan just dropped the ball and fumbled it himself. So that describes this game for the Falcons in a nutshell. But the Dolphins, like I said, give credit to them. They obviously executed at a good game plan, played well. Give credit to them. They're a dumpster fire. So, after the disastrous loss last week, they regrouped. Credit to them. Got a win over a drunk and inconsistent Falcons team, but a Falcons team that has shown it can be very good at least at points of this season. So credit to them for that. Good win to keep their season relatively alive, I guess, so that at least they're not completely dead like they probably would be basically if they lost this game. Falcons, just an unacceptable, embarrassing loss overall. Giants, Eagles. Yeah, it looks like the Eagles may have figured something out offensively. They played really good against the Vikings, obviously. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both went off, and A.J. Brown was out in this game, which, by the way, he needs to be. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to happen this season because of salary cap reasons, but he needs to be traded next season. It is just every season it gets worse and worse. The drama, he wants out, no, he doesn't. He's happy, no, he's not. He's on the sideline, he doesn't look happy. It's just every season, all this drama it just gets worse and worse. The team's going to have to ship him off after the season, I think. But anyway, Devontae Smith had another good game in this one, right? At least that I can think of. Let me see his stat line. I'm pretty sure he had a good game. Let me double check here. Let's see. Player stats. Yeah, he had 6 catches, 84 yards. Saquon had 150 yards. He was hurt in this game. He came out, and Tank Bigsby had over 100 yards. They had over 200 rushing yards between their two running backs. So that was absolutely insane. By far, Bigsby's best game as an Eagle. There was this. I mean, the Giants were going to lose regardless. It was like 2nd and 33, I think, and they ran it with Bigsby and got a first down. But anyway, Eagles looks like they figured something out offensively the past 2 weeks. Defensively, they played the Giants much better than they did 2 weeks ago in their first meeting of the season. The offense, it looked good at points for the Giants in parts of this game, but it struggled in parts. I think 20 is like a fair number to evaluate their performance this game offensively. The Giants did get screwed numerous times in this game by the refs. The Eagles did once on an Elliott field goal, but the Giants got screwed numerous times. First of all, there was the tush push. Just to add more controversy, you cannot wait until this play's banned in the offseason. Hurts, so they run it. It's 4th down. I forget who it was, but they clearly ripped the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands, and it should have been a fumble, but they blew forward progress. That was a takeaway that the Giants got robbed of. And then it's a 3-score game. I think they were going to lose anyway, but they get a touchdown. They call OPI on, I think it was Darius Slayton, which was a horrible call. And they also called a DPI on the Giants, which was a bad call, if I remember right. So they got hosed by the refs numerous times in this game. I think they would have lost anyway. But it's just another controversial tush push penalty. They don't, or not penalty, but ruling by the refs. I mean, a couple weeks ago was their false starting every play. Now that's been quieted down a bit. Now they get this play where they rip it out of Jalen's hands and nothing's called. Oh boy, Giants. It looks like now that, I mean, Dart I don't think played abysmal in this game, but it looks like now that teams are starting to get more and more film on Dart, and obviously Neighbors being out there and the Giant not being out there and the Giants offense being depleted doesn't help much either. But it looks like teams now that they're getting some more film on Dart, it looks like they're playing him a bit better now. Giants are 2-6. Barring a miracle, they're not going to make the playoffs. But I think they'll be a competitive team with a bad record, even the rest of the season. Tough one for them here. Eagles, it looks like they figured something out. It'll be interesting to see they can continue that here. And also, they made a nice trade with the Jets, too, getting some much-needed corner help. This score is actually backwards. Correct. I think it was 30-16 the other way around. Let me just double check. No, I would have messed something up here. even though I double checked it again. Don't know how I didn't notice this. Yeah, okay, went the other way around. I knew I was gonna mess something up here. Okay, technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. So nothing happened there. Okay, anyway, Bears and Ravens. Yeah, this was a disappointment for the Bears. Even when it got announced that Tyler Huntley was going to start, I'm like, well, obviously I'm less confident now, but I'm like, you know what? I'll stick with the Ravens. And, well, Tyler Huntley played great in this game. The offense moved the ball consistently well. They put up 30 points. The Bears were up to a 6-0 lead early in the game. Then from there on out, the Ravens simply outplayed them. It was relatively close early on. The Bears cut it to a one-score lead in the fourth, but the Ravens responded with a score of their own. The Bears had a horrible sequence at the end of the game where their first and goal, they don't get it in. Then their second and goal, they don't get it in. They're like third and goal at the one, and this is like a minute and a half left. They have no timeouts. They tried to sneak it, don't get it, and then fourth and goal. The play's taking way too long. There's guys confused. It looks like. Then there's a miscommunication, and the ball is like I think thrown behind the receiver on fourth and goal. So that was a brutal sequence from the Bears. Obviously, they would have needed an onside kick and another touchdown after that. So their chances of winning, even when they get that touchdown, are extremely slim. But this is kind of what I predicted to happen if the Bears didn't get turnovers. Their defense, even though their defense has been getting, as you can say, has been playing fairly well lately, it's because sort of like the Jaguars defense, they're getting a bunch of turnovers and they're still barely winning those games. What's going to happen when the defense stops forcing those turnovers? And I think this game was a good example of that. Not to mention it was against a backup quarterback in Tyler Huntley, who again held his own, but still, it probably would have been even worse with Lamar in the game. Um, yeah, Caleb Williams, some talk about him. Even though they've been winning, he's not looked too great. Ben Johnson said that he was encouraged after watching the game film. Yeah, Bears, this was a tough loss for them. Hopefully the offense for them can get back on track against a horrid Bengals defense this week. That's actually going to be a very difficult game to pick, at least for me. It's a coin flip game. But yeah, Bears in this game, brutal loss to them. Ravens, it looks like they're starting to heat up, even though they only got one more win, or they only got a win, so they're at 2 wins. That's what I meant to say. And they're playing a Dolphins team tonight who, again, I don't mean to discredit the Dolphins, but I think that was a fluke performance against the Falcons rather than them like turning a corner. The Ravens, and it seems like many people think they're turning the corner, and it looks like they're going to go on a run here and make a push to the division. It looks like Lamar's back tonight, so that's going to obviously hurt the Dolphins more. Henry might have a big game. So Ravens, good performance in them, much needed win. Bears, we saw what happened when they don't get the turnovers, and a tough one for them here. Niners Texans. Yeah, this was an interesting game. The problem for the Niners this game was they couldn't hold the ball. The first half they had the ball for like 5 minutes. The Texans' opening drive was an eternity. It was like 10 plus minutes, and they had to settle for a field goal. The Texans' offense actually played pretty well. And I think the issue the 49ers were having was they couldn't get to Stroud pass rush with their pass rush. So Stroud basically had forever to throw the ball. And given a clean pocket this game, Stroud looked good. So maybe the Texans' offense figured something out. We saw 2 games ago for them, not weeks because they're bye in between. They looked good against, obviously, the Ravens defense was really struggling at that time, missing a bunch of guys. They looked great against them. They put up over 40. So that's good for them there, obviously. And then, obviously, it was horrid against the Seahawks, which you can say that's the Seahawks elite defense at home in Seattle prime time. But this game against a solid 49ers defense, and yes, it's extremely banged up. If the 49ers defense was healthy, I certainly don't think their offense would have had nearly as much success as it did in this game. But it looks like they figured something out maybe. They played well, moved the ball well, kept the pocket clean for Stroud. They killed them in time and possession the whole game, as I mentioned. And then, per usual, the Texans defense played a really solid game. Niners offense struggled to get drives going consistently. And the Texans were favored going into this game, and I and Dylan talked about it in our podcast we did last week, and most people were like, how the hell are the Texans favored going into this game? Well, Vegas clearly knew something. Maybe it was the pass rush factor, not getting to Stroud, so of time will kill them, and the Texans defense is going to play good. So maybe that's it. I think this is definitely the Niners' worst defensive. Well, actually, probably right up there with Tampa for their worst defensive performance of the season. At least in the Tampa game, they got like some stops. This game, like every third down, the Texans they just could not be stopped. Let me look up that Bucs game real quick. I mean, they technically allowed 4 more points, 30, but I don't know. To me, at least the eye test, they played a bit better in that game. They also lost Fred Warner in the middle of that game too, and just like secondary like blown coverages on miscommunication, things like that killed them. This game was just the Texans just moving the ball methodically on them consistently the whole game. I don't think they played horrible this game, but they definitely did not have a very good game in this one. Yeah, and the offense, just the injuries in general, finally caught up to the 49ers, and they look like a team that has as many injuries as they do. But tough one for the 49ers here, but don't want to discredit the Texans. Their defense has been phenomenal all season. They certainly showed that here. And their offense, maybe they figured something out. Good win for them here. Tough one for the 49ers. Bucs Saints, speaking of tough games, this was a really weird game. The Saints offense obviously got nothing done. They put up a field goal. They were a mess this game. Rattler got benched. They put why am I completely blanking? Is it Tyler? Why the hell am I blanking on his name? The rookie. Why the hell am I blanking on his name? I'm not gonna have to look this up, am I? Oh, Tyler Shout. Or what? Yes, it's like spelled like show, but he pronounced it like shout or something like that. Anyway, they're starting him the rest of the year. So Rattler honestly looked good for, maybe not good, but he looked decent for most of the year up till the past couple games. Now he's benched, which I mean, you might as well start the rookie quarterback you drafted, even though Rattler's in his second year. You might as well start the rookie because you're 1-7. You're obviously not going to make the playoffs barring a miracle, so you might as well. Another takeaway is the Bucs offense the past 2 weeks has not been too good. Against the depleted Lions secondary, they only put up 9 points. Baker was just missing throws in that game. He missed some throws in this game too. The offense did not look too good. They had a horrible sequence where they were first and goal at the 1, and they ran it 4 straight plays and couldn't get it in. But then Anthony Nelson, who had a monster game, had a pick 6 on Rattler and stiff-armed him and got the touchdown right back for him anyway. Bucs, they got another touchdown after that, then had 3 field goals to get to 23. The defense was just smothering the Saints all game. Yeah, just a tough one for the Saints here. Not too many positives, besides the defense has been playing a bit better, you can say, the past couple weeks. Yeah, trying to think of what else in this game. Yeah, the Bucs offense is not too great. Sort of an ugly win, but division game. These teams play tight, at least one of the 2 meetings a year, usually. So Bucs, good to get, not a pretty, sort of an ugly win, you can say, against a division rival. Got the job done, even though they won by 20. It kind of felt like an ugly game. Saints, they look like the Saints that we kind of expected to now. Maybe they're going to the rest of the season after they looked a bit better than we thought they would, even though they were losing. Tough one for them here. Good win for the Bucs, though. Titans Colts. Yeah, this game went as pretty much most people expected. Just a blowout for the Colts. They're just absolutely annihilating everyone right now. It feels like their offense couldn't be stopped in this game. The defense played good. It was close early on. Titans scored a touchdown. I think it was 7 to. I want to say it was 7 to, or maybe 10 to 14 or 10 to 17, something like that. But then the Colts just, took care of business the rest of the game. the Titans were getting a decent amount of pressure on Daniel Jones, but besides that, per usual, they did not look good. Tyjae Spears actually had a decent game. He looked decent, so that's a positive for the Titans. But honestly, not too much to recap from this game. I feel like just a Colts blowout win. They dominated. Offense looked great. Jonathan Taylor, another 3-touchdown game. He looked phenomenal, asserting himself in the MVP conversation. I don't think he'll get it because it's basically a quarterback award. Titans, just per usual, like most of the season, a disaster. I honestly think, in my opinion, they're the worst team in the league. Their one win was extremely, extremely lucky. They got so many lucky things to happen in that game against the Cardinals. Should be winless right now, but at least they got that win, so they're not going to go 0-17. They play the Saints. I think it's week 16. That'll be a tank bowl. That'll be one of the games of all time. But yeah, Colts just absolutely annihilating everyone. They're a surprise this year, obviously. No one expected them to be this good. Statistically, their offense is like averaging more points per drive than the 2007 Patriots, which is absolutely insane. Defense playing well. They're looking to add some guys defensively at the deadline, according to rumors. Titans traded. Well, they're already thin at corner, and they traded 2 of their corners. So, rightfully they're selling. They're obviously not contenders this season. They're in a rough spot. Teams are going to be blowing them out a lot this season, I think. Tough one for them here. Colts keep rolling. Good to see. Good for them. Dallas and Denver. Big takeaway is it's honestly almost impressive how bad the Cowboys defense is. This defense, it honestly might be the worst defense I've seen in my entire life. I'm only 23 years old, but this defense is, my God, it is bad. It is bad. And a lot of the blame is obviously on Eberflus, and you can certainly argue he has not done a good job at all. But I don't even think it's all on him. I just don't think, sort of like the Bengals and Al Golden I was talking about earlier, I don't think they have enough talent there. And obviously, trading Micah Parsons certainly doesn't help before the season, especially right before the season, so days before the season. And the problem is, if the Cowboys' offense is not almost perfect every week, they're probably going to lose the game. I mean, they have to at least score like a field goal to have a chance in the game, it feels. Every possession to have a chance in the game. That's how bad their defense is. I'm trying to think. I think literally the one stop the Cowboys may have gotten in this game was off the Broncos' first drive. Nix threw an interception. And I think that might have been the only shot they got in the whole game. I think actually maybe they got one stop. The Cowboys are on 17. I think they scored, and then they got the ball back down 2 scores. So I think maybe the Cowboys held them to and that's what it was. I think they held them to a field goal. But besides that, I really don't think they got any other stops the rest of this game. So they need to make at least a trade or some trades for their defense at the trade deadline, because I mean it is going to be almost impossible for them to be a competitive team with how bad this defense is. Their offense is perfectly fine. They're the number 1 total defense in the whole league, I think, statistically. It's just their defense is so bad. The one thing you can say about their offense is they haven't played too great on the road, it feels like. It was kind of like the Chicago game where they're moving the ball, but turnovers killed them. Dak had, I think, 2 picks, had one at the end of the first half, had one. They were going to lose anyway. It looked like down, I think, 20 late, and he threw a pick. Milton, my old guy from the Patriots, had a beautiful touchdown pass in garbage time. Denver, they could not afford to be asleep offensively the first 3 quarters. This game, they certainly didn't. They could not be stopped outside of that first drive I mentioned with the interception, which was a miscommunication with the receiver, I think. Nix threw it behind him. And, their offense looked great. Denver's 6-2. You could honestly make an argument they should be undefeated. They certainly should have won that Colts game if it wasn't for the penalty on the field goal there. And it was the correct call, but it was just a penalty the Broncos shouldn't have committed. And then the Chargers game, they kind of blew that too. So they can be undefeated right now, Denver, you can argue. They're making a legitimate push to win the West. At this point, I would not be surprised if Denver and unfortunately the Chiefs or the Chargers win it. Those three teams have a legitimate chance to win it. All three of them, it looks like, are going to make the playoffs. I mean, obviously the Raiders won't, but it looks like we're going to have three AFC West teams in the playoffs, which, as a Patriots fan, makes me want to win the division even more, because if that happens, that means there's only going to be one more wild card slot. So you figure the Ravens, Steelers, they'll be in contention. Whichever one doesn't win the division might be the 7th seed. So yeah, hopefully 3 AFC West teams for the Patriots, we don't win the division, don't make it. So I have to have a heart attack if we're going to make the playoffs or not, if that makes any sense. But anyway, getting off track here. Great win for Denver. They killed the Cowboys here. Cowboys, that defense is just absolutely horrid. They need to make a trade at the deadline for someone, literally anywhere on that defense. The Sunday night game, Packers-Steelers. Yeah, the Packers were down at the half. The Steelers, they were down 2 scores at the half. They had missed 2 field goals. It's like, yep, the Steelers. To me, I was pissed at myself for not picking them to win the game at halftime. I'm like, oh, I knew I should have picked the Steelers. And then the second half, the Packers just absolutely annihilated them. They could not be stopped offensively. They put up 35. Steelers defense, it had a stretch where it was playing good. Besides that, it's been a mess most of this season. Yeah, they could not stop the Packers at all. The Packers defense locked in the second half. They were up 16. They allowed a touchdown very late with like a minute and change, or like just above the 2-minute warning. Then they stopped the 2-pointer. Yeah, the Packers were I was very impressed with them in this one, especially down 2 scores, and it was only like 9 points at halftime, missing 2 kicks. They had some brutal drops. They could have, very well had just been like, all right, well, we blew our opportunities. Let's just see what we're going to do in the second half. But they certainly made, I don't even know if they made that many adjustments because they were playing fine. It was just self-inflicted wounds. Of course, they made some adjustments, I'm sure, but the Packers just absolutely killed them in the second half, or whatever the hell they did. Very impressive performance in the second half. Jordan Love was phenomenal in this game, had nearly like 20 straight completions at one point. And yeah, great overall performance from them. The Steelers, they were 4-1, but the talk around them was, all right, well, they're 4-1, but they don't really look like a typical 4-1 team. They're not really that impressive. Now it's starting to kind of show. And their offense, usually it's the Steelers' offense is bad and their defense is good. It's been the opposite most of the season. The offense is fine. It's getting the job done. The defense, for the most part, has been bad for the Steelers. But we know with Mike Tomlin, they'll at least win 8 games. They'll go 8-1 at worst to keep his 500 or better streak intact. So, and with how bad the AFC North is record-wise this season, for Christ's sakes, 8-1 might win the division. But people are saying, I see some people saying the Ravens are going to win the division still. Honestly, that would not surprise me at all. As a matter of fact, I would probably, maybe this is absolutely insane to me to say, I would absolutely not be shocked if they won it, but honestly, if I had to pick, I would give the slight edge to the Ravens at this point to win the division, which is absolutely insane. At 2 wins, at 2-5, now entering week 9 in the season, and they play tonight. I think they'll beat the Dolphins. Spoiler alert for my Thursday night prediction video I'm going to upload. But anyway, getting off topic here. Yeah, this was just a bad loss to the Steelers. It could have been even worse if the Packers weren't in full prevent at the end of the game there. But yeah, impressive performance by the Packers. Could have put up a 41-point performance if McManus didn't miss 2 kicks. So Steelers defense needs to get cleaned up. I'm sure they will. I don't think they'll be this bad. I think they'll get cleaned up. I've a decent amount of confidence there. I certainly think the Steelers will finish above 500. Really good chance, even if they don't win the division, to make the playoffs. Probably like 10 wins seems about right. 9, 10 wins, maybe 11 at most. 12 if things really peak, but I think really probably 9, 10, 11 around there for the Steelers. But anyway, Bad loss to the Steelers here. Impressive win for the Packers. They looked legit and they're in serious Super Bowl contention, even though they kind of had the slump after that Browns game for a bit there. Washington and my favorite team, the Chiefs. Oh God. Uh yeah, this was an interesting game. Very sloppy first half performance by both teams. It was 7-7 at halftime, and it was like the Commanders seriously like gonna push the Chiefs and maybe even steal this game. And then the second half happened, and the Commanders just had very little offensively going. The Chiefs' offense did whatever they wanted in the second half. They could not be stopped. The first half, like I said, was sloppy. The Commanders got the ball to start the game. They went right down the field and on a wide receiver screen, it bounced right off Debo's hands into the. I forget who picked it off, but the Chiefs, one of their DBs picked it off, and I'm like, here we go again with the Chiefs getting bailed out yet again. What a that's all we need is their luck to return. But they went down the field. Mahomes threw a pick. Lattimore made a ridiculous interception. And then Mahomes, the second pick wasn't on him. He hit Kelce right in the hands and bounced off his hands, and Wagner got a pick. So I guess that kind of evens out with the pick the Commanders had, or the pick the Commanders had that the Chiefs got. I mean, Mahomes has 4 picks. 2 of them were right off Kelce's hands. They're not even on Mahomes, and I'm the biggest Mahomes hater ever. So I mean, that's like rare for me to defend Mahomes. That's like one of the most rarest things on this planet, probably. But yeah, with 7-7, the Commanders. I was impressed with their defense in the first half. It looks like they changed some things up, and they were giving the Chiefs some issues. And I was impressed with their performance in the first half. And in the second half, I think the Chiefs just adjusted and they absolutely killed them in the second half. Well, in the second half, 21-0. Their defense has allowed 7 points in the past 2 games. They obviously shut the Raiders out, and they only allowed 7 here. So, obviously, all the talk with the Chiefs is how great Mahomes is with his 5-yard hitch routes that go 15 every play that any quarterback in the league can make, and all his passes at the goal line where he's the touch passes that any player can make. And only Mahomes can make 2-yard touch passes. Anyway, I just hate Mahomes so much. I hate him so much. I hate him so much. Anyway, my point is the Chiefs, obviously, the media and everyone's going to talk about how great Mahomes is, but they rarely will talk about how the defense has been better than the offense. Well, this season, you can argue the offense has been better since they got their guys back. But the past 2 seasons, their defense has carried them. 23, they were like the third ranked defense. They won them that Super Bowl that season. Well, I mean, they got them to the Super Bowl that season. They won it. Obviously, it was Mahomes leading a game-winning drive, my worst nightmare. But the defense, if it wasn't as good as it was that season, they wouldn't have won it there. And in 24, their offense was the definition of mid. They were, I think, 16 out of 32, so literally mid. And the defense, yet again, was one of the top-tier defenses, and it has been this season too. But the offense is starting to pick it up. So all anyone talks about is how great Mahomes is, how great the offense is, and just gives very little credit to the defense. Steve Spagnuolo, an arch nemesis of the Patriots, obviously, with the undefeated season that we should have had, even though their defense played great in that game. If the helmet catch doesn't happen, the luckiest catch in sports history, we win that game. Or if the Giants get called for a hold on that play too, but that's okay. I'll never get over that. Anyway, getting way off topic, sidetracked here. Yeah, Chiefs, not a pretty. They didn't put 4 quarters together, is the knock you can say, but the second half they just cleaned things up and they were fine. Impressive win for them. They look great the past couple weeks as a Chiefs hater and Mahomes hater, which is unfortunate for me. The Commanders, they were impressive for the first half. In the second half, they looked like the Commanders I think we expected them to going into this game. They get a tough schedule coming up. Oh boy. Yeah, 3-5. I figured they would regress this season, but not to this point. But who knows? Maybe they could beat the Seahawks this week. Wouldn't shock me, but they got to get some wins going here if they want to make the playoffs. Okay. Make sure I got all the games here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty good week. This week was weird. It felt like, I mean, no one saw the Jets beating the Bengals, at least most people. No one in their right mind saw the Dolphins beating the Falcons. That was extremely bold if you picked the Dolphins. And I went 10-3. What the hell is the other game I got, Ron? Oh, the Niners game. Yeah, that, I mean, I'm not shocked the Texans won, but I was honestly fairly confident in the Niners. So I'm a little surprised there. But Vegas clearly knew something favoring the Texans there. But yeah, I went 10-3 this week with picks. I'm doing a bit better the past couple weeks after a rough start to the year. The 2 years I've done this YouTube channel have been by far the worst I've done picks wise. I've done better in years prior, so I probably look like an idiot with how poor I've been doing in the picks, but compared to my past couple of years. But I'm doing better and better with the picks at least. Trending upward, which is obviously good. But anyway, it was an entertaining week. It's going to be week 9 tonight. Again, technically it's Thursday game when week 9 starts, which is the halfway point of the NFL regular season, which is absolutely insane. Feels like it just started yesterday. So that's insane how quickly it's flown by. But yeah, entertaining week. Fantasy, I got one of my leagues. I was so pissed off. I was up by some in 5 leagues. So one of them I was up so much in I didn't even bother to look. It was in the afternoon games. I was up by so much. I'm like, all right, he only has a couple guys left. I was up so many points. I'm like, I'm not really too concerned there. I had like a 95% win projection or something like that. And then I look later and I'm losing, and I'm like, what the hell? He had Tucker Kraft, and I'm like, you motherfucker, Tucker Kraft. Which I didn't mention him in the Packers game, the Sunday night game, but he went off in that game. That was insane. I mean, he had many highlight plays, but one of them was, I think their first drive of the third quarter. Love threw a pass up, and he somehow caught it and ran with it. It looks like he got away with a push, you can argue, but he had a monster run after catch play there. Yeah, he went off. But anyway, I did fairly decent fantasy wise. Betting, I got boned per usual. My picks, I mentioned I did good. But anyway, yeah, I'll wrap this video up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you had a good week. You did good fantasy picks, betting wise, all that good stuff. So I always say with these videos, I'm going to record my Thursday night football game prediction between Baltimore and Miami. So be on the lookout for that if you're interested. But I will wrap this video up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Take it easy, guys, and thank you for tuning in.